This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 99. Why developing an ideal client profile is so critical. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action if you're new to get started in the right direction, or if you've been around a while like me to get started in a more strategic direction, I've created this free jumpstart course for you. It's waiting over at freeagentgift.com. It includes a little infographic of the model that we follow in our coaching program that's helped me immensely in my own brokerage and all my coaching clients, as well as just a video series that takes you through each step so you have that overview. It'll really help you. I wish somebody had given something like that to me long ago. Okay, so there it is, from me to you, freeagentgift.com. All right, in this episode, why is developing an ideal client profile so important? You know, when somebody first introduced this concept of avatar, you might hear that a lot in marketing. Who's your avatar? And that just means your ideal client. And again, what we're asking you to do is think in an ideal situation. Go back to the last episode where I talk about tying your financial goal, gross commission income, to your marketing. Marketing's only reason is to go out and get the people who will help you achieve your financial goal by offering them a service that's worthwhile. Simple. That's true for any business. But in this case, I need to go a little bit deeper with you. So in the basics of marketing, and I talked about in that episode, market, message, media, where are they? And I talked about sellers because sellers rule the world. They have the inventory. Without the inventory, nothing for the buyer to buy. So sellers drive this business, and their listings are the inventory. So when you go marketing, the most leverage is in a listing. Like I've said before, no offense to buyer agents, but you're waiting for somebody else to go get the listing, and then you go try to match your buyer up with them. So you're basically going to work for them. I have no problem with it. I still love to do buy sides all the time, and I like to go see the listing agents. But from a marketing standpoint, let's be intelligent. You just can't keep running all around the marketing world, dabbling in this, dabbling in that, and then wondering, why don't I have any money left? And furthermore, I'm not even getting the people I want to work with. Well, then stop and listen. The number one concept in marketing is the matching of the right message to the right person at the right time. And that's everything. It's a simple statement. Well, who's the right person? Well, we've already started to define that person globally to start. I'm not saying that you can live without buyers. Maybe in the long run, they're great. But sellers are where you start when you're trying to market to somebody so that you can control the inventory, because that inventory can attract buyers. And a lot of people will help you sell it if it's priced right, etc., right? So I need to come up with the right message to deliver into that geography, that area, that marketplace within which I ideally would like to do business. And you see, that's the beginnings of the second point here, demographics versus psychographics. If a marketing fundamental is to narrow your market niche to about 1,000 sales in an area, and that's two sides per sale. So we're talking about 2,000 buy side, sell sides that we're trying to go into and we're trying to market. That's good enough to start there, especially good enough if you're just trying to get that building block of the basic 4 to 10 deals a year and then build upon that if you're a top producer. So demographically, you're able to say, okay, I like this area. Yep, check. In MLS, there's about 2,000 sides, 1,000 sales. Good place to start to market to. What price range? Go back to the last episode. You'll see bare minimum. I want you to start marketing to the median and the mean if you can, because that more easily helps you achieve this financial goal. So now you have this demographic, but now you start to get into it a little bit deeper. I would say that the next thing before psychographics for me was more context. So if I get up above it, we're flying in a plane, you and I, and we're looking down at this area. And in my case, we'll just call it the town of Barnstable on Cape Cod or Back Bay, Beacon Hill. Those are my primary two targets. If I were to fly over those and look down, it gives me a better sense of getting up above this place and saying, okay, within that area, it's pretty dense in Boston and it's pretty big in Barnstable, 60 square miles. So how do I even start to market? What do I do? Because everybody starts to think media, well, I'll just get a website. I'll buy this website and they'll get me leads. You just can't think like that. Start off with, okay, he tells me I should be marketing to sellers who own a property at or above the median and preferably the mean sale price. You can get that right out of MLS in about 15 minutes, okay? Maybe less if you're quick. Now you're looking for that seller. But how do you find out if somebody is motivated, right? So they can be the right person, but what if it's the wrong time? So I think this industry provides us with this obvious set of criteria where we know there's timing, we know there's motivation, there's expireds. There are expireds, right? There are probates. Somebody's died and there's property involved. There are for sale by owners, somebody trying to take a whack at it themselves. There are divorces that oftentimes lead to a sale of a property. I could go on and on and on, but just think. In that marketplace, things happen that make people move. And the more easily you can identify them, the more easily you can market to them. So again, ideally, against a financial model, we're starting with, we know they're there, they have a context, and they own the property at or above a certain price range. And then you back in your own commission guesstimate as to what you can make on that side, what you'd offer. And again, commissions are flexible. I leave that piece to you. But here's another little part of this that I've learned having done thousands of hours of this, that as we do that with my core team, Autumn, Laura, and we look at our marketing plan, we recognize that there was another piece of the ideal client. So we're starting to define this avatar based demographically and contextually. But there was a psychographic there. Now, this was a term that you hear a lot. And in fact, with all that's been going on with Facebook has over 5,000 data points on each user. It's mind-blowing. So don't you think they have psychographics? They track the way that you're thinking based on what you say. They know you deeply. And that's why when advertisers go there and marketers go there, they can get very specific with their ideal client. I would like to sell my product to this person. I would like this person to vote for that person. That's what psychographics really start to get into. It's not just, hey, they're there on Facebook anymore. This is pretty scary, deep stuff. I say scary. I don't mean I'm scared of it. It's just amazing what the world of marketing actually can provide you with information about the readiness of somebody to take action to possibly be interested in your service or product. Psychographics. But let's make it simpler. We don't need 5,000 data points. So what we found was that the best psychographic indication that we had that it was a good and ideal client for us was, why are you thinking about selling this beautiful house? And really leveling with people and trying to get there. So I'm not saying that, remember, telemarketing is very much a part of marketing. So if I go out and you want to buy anything, you buy a list of people that might have these demographics, these contexts, and then you get on the phone and you telemarket your message to them. Now, I'm not going to get into what message we telemarket to them because this is about developing the ideal person to have that with, right? This is much more about, okay, now, ideally, somebody that can help me do my X number of deals and attain my goal because they'll take my service is that person who's demographically where they need to be. They are financially at the spot I need them to be. They have the context that they're serious about selling inside the next 12 months. And now I can get in there and make sure that that's the case by simply asking psychographically, psychologically, why are you trying to do this? Well, I've had enough. I have to downsize. Well, somebody has passed away. It's time for me to move out of town and get a new job. I want to move back to my kids. We hear them all, right? Those are the psychographic or psychological reasons that are motivating somebody to do something. So you find out that there's a real reason. So what's ironic is, think about expireds for a second. As we begin to telemarket our message to them and they accept the initial offer of exchange of information that's helpful to them, we earn that right to ask these psychological questions. We don't just hammer away. Hey, why are you selling? Hey, I saw that, when are you going to hire the right person? It's not our style. We come in, we're helpful, we button up that offer, then we move on. Hey, by the way, while I have you, it does look like a beautiful house. How come you're trying to sell it? Why move at all? This is difficult to do. And then they'll give us that answer. And we know if there's a real, if they're becoming an ideal prospect for us. We're trying to prospect them. We're taking them from lead to a prospective client. Simple language. Don't make it all weird. A lead is just a name and information. And we make this phone call to them and we try to turn them into a prospective client. But if we start off with an ideal vision of who that is, we don't need to try to push so hard with everybody because we know what to ask. We know what to listen for. And then we might say, gee, you sure you want to move? Doesn't sound like a real big reason to move. Why do it at all? You might think that's a takeaway. It's just a factual thing. When we listen to people and we care for them, this is their cave. This is their home. This is their place, right? Why do they have to go through this? So there are a lot of real reasons. And once we know there's a real reason, then we go a little bit more. Timing is a tricky thing. Like, well, when do you think would be an ideal time? Well, that's all you. That's all you're self-serving. So we learned that if we just ask them, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to sell the property? And if they now say, now here we go with the psychographic ideal client, we now have learned if they say anything less than 10 or they're chart busters, I'm a 12. Somebody said to us last week, I'm a 15. So that means, okay, you don't even have to ask me that. I'm so far beyond. Not only do I have a reason, I want this done yesterday. That becomes, I know this is going to sound corny to you, but that becomes our ideal client. They weren't easy to find, by the way. I know all this low-hanging fruit stuff. What do you mean low-hanging fruit? Sure, an expired and a probate and FSBOs and divorcees and all these sellers they're there obviously, potentially to pick off the tree, but they're not all easy to pick. And they're not all ripe. That's the concept of avatar. So you have to have this vetting process, and this takes a lot of patience. Because a lot of you want to do a deal, next transaction, right? Or I got to do more. I'm drowning. I don't have anything going on. Don't quit your day job, by the way, if you're new in this business, right? Build something. You started off as a passion business that can free you from the other things you're doing. You don't necessarily just jump in here without a plan. I don't recommend it. You can do whatever you want, but I think that's haphazard advice. And if anybody gives it to you, they better be willing to back up why they told you to do it, and they better be there to help you. I will be. Don't quit your day job. Build this, follow a plan, and you'll be surprised at how quickly you can actually build something that is predictable and sustainable when you have a plan. Avatar. If I know that my business to be viable has to continuously do business with people I don't know. Yes, I know all of you referral folks out there. I love them too. Don't you think I love it when somebody picks up the phone and says, I got a buddy who wants to buy a house or sell a house. Can you help them? Sure, I love that. But if I sat back and waited for people to do that, that would be the same way I feel about a buyer agent waiting for everybody else to list the right property instead of going out and doing it. You have to dive over the side of the boat with your knife in your mouth sometimes to win. That's what you got to do. You got to go fishing aggressively and proactively. I know it was a little gruesome, but I'm getting passionate about this, as you can tell. You have to go get it, folks. Nobody's coming for you. I say it in every single episode when I close. Nobody's coming for you. You have to go and help these people. But you can only help those people who are the right people for your message and their timing is right for you. Now, certainly, if timing's not quite there, but the reason is, your follow-up system becomes everything. Yes, but by being greedy and patient at the same time, I really want to do business with only this type of person. And I can be patient if I can find them, but I want to be there, right? So that's how we go from demographics to context to psychographics to help develop this. But the next point is, now, once you know seller in this area, at this price range, has this context, has a real reason, and is motivated, what's the best medium upon which you send your messaging? Now, in our case, our messaging is all about giving them free information to help them sell it themselves the next time, if that's what they so desired to do. It's just being helpful, giving away our best stuff for free to ingratiate ourselves in that relationship and genuinely mean it. You don't have to ever come back to us. Here's our best stuff for free. Guide for selling, guide for buying, guide for becoming an agent. It's core to what we do. But what's the best medium upon which to deliver that to an ideal seller in this example? Well, that's where I started looking at all this internet stuff. And I'm saying, scratching my head, well, wait a minute. How am I reaching my ideal client by blindly asking a global area if they wanted an online home evaluation? I'm not saying that's bad, But I have to wrap my head around and think through that a little bit more to try to attract that avatar on the internet faster than I could actually use telemarketing to pick up the phone, ask these folks permission to send this helpful information. And if I could find those people, maybe that's even another psychographic data point, simple but clear. They're willing to accept productized or mailed help. Yes, people say, you're going to mail it? Yes, we're going to mail it. Great. All this digital. People are just thrilled when they get productized information. So the medium for us became telemarketing, which wasn't this pound and ground cold calling nonsense. I can't stand that myself. It just has never been something I've been interested in. And most of the people I coach cringe when they hear it. But when we started off with telemarketing, phone as a medium for the delivery, we could then actually get some of these psychographic answers to see if they were a fit for us, if they were a match now or at least a follow-up. Simple. So by going into a simple description of avatar, we became more patient because we knew that if we forced people whose timing wasn't now, their reason was sort of tacit, but it could bake a little bit longer before they became ideal. Well, we would bring them on as listings, and guess what would happen? They wouldn't be ready to listen to the advice, especially about pricing. There'd be all this debate and all this fight, and you'd have a hostile client. Because you're trying to squeeze the square into the round hole. It's not your ideal avatar. So the last point here was that we learned to be bold enough to stick to the avatar. Now, again, we're going to continuously try to help sellers in that marketplace with that context, with psychographics that are close every single week. But those people that don't want our help, we eliminate them from our fault. We don't try to raise Lazarus from the dead and keep pushing and arguing and defending. Great, no problem. Didn't mean to bother you. Thanks so much. Best wishes. You know where to find us. That's who we are. And move on. Because what you'll find is when you do that, there's this strange, you might call it the law of attraction, you might call it the universe opening up. The more that you are open to attracting the right person and you stick to that discipline, it's just amazing how they come in. And I scratch my head at the problems we have to solve. For me and my team, they're so dang easy. But nobody's been a good match for them. Nobody's been that person who was able to go in there, lead the conversation, show them exactly what to do, and solve their problem. I'm just shocked at how often they're out there. So the more and more we became fixed on the clear avatar, the more fun and profitable our business has become and is becoming. Doesn't happen quickly. Requires patience, and I do understand. If somebody comes into you and they're not exactly ideal, say you want to do mostly sellers and you keep getting these buyers referred to you, take care of people. Okay, as long as they all have a reason and there's a high level of motivation, those are the basic psychographics that I think can create at least a successful opportunity. But as time goes on and you have to spend money to market to people, that's different. Stick to your avatar. All right, let me go back through this, right? The reason for developing an ideal client profile, avatar, whatever you want to call it, is that it's in line with basic principles of matching the right message to the right person at the right time. Okay? So you see avatar, timing, all those things come together. You start off by being demographically in pursuit of them, where you can look at where they are, because that's where you ideally would like to do business and list properties at the right price that helps your financial model. And then you'll learn about these psychographic things. You'll hear, you know it too. When you're talking to somebody who's listening to you versus somebody who doesn't want to or just doesn't get you, you get it. That's avatar. And consider the best media. Don't just do what everybody else is doing because you think it's right. Think. Is that where you're going to find your ideal seller, buyer, client, whatever it might be? And then in the long run, be bold enough to stick to marketing to your avatar. Speak to them every time you do any marketing. All right, the key point here. Without taking the time to think through the creation of an ideal marketing target, aka your avatar, you will subject your marketing efforts to whimsical directions caused by you rather than making it the beginnings of the right conversations with the right customers. All right, now remember, globally, If you want to take immediate action and get started in the right direction with a lot of these strategies that I'm micro here, but you can get macro with our free simple business plan, which is a strategy. It's an infographic. It's waiting for you over at freeagentgift.com. Take a look. Humor me, all you top producers. I know you get all this stuff. Put your egos aside. Get over there. Been there, had all the answers. Turns out I didn't have a lot of them. Michael Gerber said to me, you don't know what you don't know. So true every day I wake up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also broadcast our live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 EDT. More gifts so you can hear the microeconomics of telemarketing. I told you that was one of our tools, and you can hear us trying to figure out, is this the avatar or not? You can hear it live. By the way, they're all recorded. So if you go over to the Realty Classroom right now on Facebook or YouTube, I put them up there. Go listen to some of these calls that are happening, and you can see me live training people trying to determine, will this set you up for success? Okay? So remember, if you want to see them live, turn on all the page and channel notifications. I know bells here, whistles here, thumbs here. Just turn them on. If you work on that platform regularly, you'll see us when we go live, and it'll be a reminder. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content with other entrepreneurial real estate agents just like you, so they get the help they need as well. Hey, listen, you know I appreciate you. Thanks for listening so much. You let me fulfill my dream to be a person for others with these podcasts that I run here at the Realty Classroom. But remember, nobody's coming for you, so go get to work on your own business. See you in the next episode.